الحمد لله الذي نور قلوب العارفين بنور معرفته وأثبت فؤاد أنبيائه وأوليائه بقصص الأنبياء والمرسلين وأكمل إيمان المسلمين والمؤمنين بولاية علي أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام. والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أفضل الموجودات العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أعني أبا القاسم محمد وعلى روحه ونفسه وسهره ووسيه سيد الأتقياء والأصفياء مولى الموالي إمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى أوصيائه لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. وعجل فرجهم. Tonight being the night of the Shahadat of Imam MOHAMMAD BAQIR alayhi salatu wassalam. We are commemorating the martyrdom of the fifth Imam al-Islam, who was born on the 1st of Rajab 57 Hijrah, and his martyrdom occurred on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah 114 Hijrah. So he lived for 57 years. Look at the most important personalities, the Holy Prophet and his holy progeny, alayhimus salam. And they all lived for very short period, except for the 12th Imam al-Islam, who is 1100 and in his 70s, 80s. But the 6th Imam al-Islam is the longest, the Imam that lived the longest life, 65 years. And all other Imams and the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali and the Holy Prophet 63 years, and the rest were less. So you can imagine that the enemies knew that they will be contributing, so they poisoned them. And even though although that we believe that the Holy Prophet ﷺ was also poisoned and he's a shaheed according to the traditions of Ahlul Bayt ﷺ, but we don't openly express it. But although we know, and we must say that he is shaheed. But now the fifth Imam al-Islam, his name is the name of the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet has many companions. One of them, he says, "O Jabir, you will live long enough to see one of my successors, my fifth wasi. When you see him, his name will be same as mine, and when you see him, then give him my salam, sallim alayhi. Give him my salam." Hazrat Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari had become quite elderly. In the streets of Medina, people used to see that he is walking around saying, "Muhammad al-Baqir, where is Muhammad al-Baqir?" And the people said, "There is no one called Muhammad al-Baqir in Medina." He said, "But Sadiq Nabi, the truthful prophet, had promised me that I will see the fifth successor." And one day, a servant from the household of Imam Zain al-Abidin al-Islam came to Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari and said, "O Jabir, the Imam al-Islam is calling you because Muhammad al-Baqir has been born. He has come to this world." He came to the Imam al-Islam and said, "Mawla, quickly clean the child, bathe them, and then bring him to me. I want to give him the salam of the Holy Prophet." The Imam said, "He is the mistaq and the extension of Ayat-e-Tathir." Ayat-e-Tathir says, "Innama yuridullahu liyudhhiba ankum ar-rijsa." He does not need any cleansing. He does not require any cleaning. He is born pure and clean. So Hazrat Jabir says salam to him, and the Imam al-Islam replies to him and says salam to you and salam to my grandfather, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometimes people are amazed and say that how can an Imam speak at the age or when he is newly born? When we hear about Amirul Mu'mineen speaking at birth and Hazrat Imam Baqir Islam or all other Imams or Hazrat Zahra, each one of the Imams was giving witness that there is no God but Allah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. And they would also say wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Except for Hazrat Fatima Zahra, she said wa abi Rasulullah, that I bear witness my father is the Holy Prophet. And many a times she would repeat this sentence in many sermons, that it is my father who is the messenger of Allah. In the sermon of Fadak, she says, Abi duna nisaikum, my father and not the father of your women. I'm not sure if I conveyed that. My father, duna nisaikum, and not the father of the women that are in your household. If there were other daughters, and the people would have claimed that yes, there are other daughters and you are not saying the right sentence. So she said, Abi duna nisaikum. I don't want to go into that. But the Imam alayhi salam or Imam Taqi alayhi salam or the 12th Imam, you know, when you hear about the Aimam alayhi salam speaking at birth or when they're born, many people say, how can they do that? But when you read the Holy Quran and Yahya ibn Zakaria or Isa ibn Maryam, when they speak, then there is no question. So the people or the personalities that are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no question. It is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He has made them such that they speak at birth. So there shouldn't be any questions. In the Abdullah Atani al-Kitab of Ja'alani Nabi, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam in Surah Maryam, if you read, he speaks at birth that I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Aimam alayhi salam speak it, so that no one questions that the Holy Prophet is greater. If his successors speak at birth, then how must the Holy Prophet be like? And therefore no one should be able to question that. Is when the Christians come and say that no, Jesus is better because he spoke at birth, or he had the prophethood at birth and the Holy Prophet announced that he is the Prophet at the age of 14. No, his successors speak at birth and say that we speak, just remember, we are successors, we are awsiya, he is the Nabi. He is the Prophet, he is the city of knowledge, and we are the gates to the city of knowledge. If we speak, then he is also extremely to the level where that he also has those abilities and he is special. So Imam Baqir alayhi salam at very early age sees a lot of difficulties. So he is basically born in the time of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and named Muhammad Baqir by his father and grandfather. The Holy Prophet had named them, so basically someone may announce the name, but the name was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in Ghayatul Maram, Marhum Bahrani has a book, 7 volumes, Ghayatul Maram, in detail. He says that those asma, the names of the successors of the Holy Prophet, were revealed to the Holy Prophet before even the Aimam alayhi salam came. So the names are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam Baqir Islam's name is also chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His name is Muhammad. Now his title is Baqirul Ulum, Yabqarul Ilma Baqra. So what is the process of Baqir? You know, when the seed is inside the earth and it comes out and basically rips the chest of the earth and comes out, that soft part of the tree, when it grows, that process is called Baqir. And anyone who performs that process is called Baqir. So the 5th Imam al-Islam is named Baqirul Ulum, that he harvests the knowledge as if he was dead, he revived it again. So he basically harvested the knowledge and he revived the teachings of the Holy Prophet. And it was his time when basically the Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas started fighting, and the 6th Imam alayhi salam, so these 2 Imams took advantage and delivered the Sharia of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Ahkam, especially fiqh. Now 4 of his students memorized thousands of traditions, tens of thousands of traditions. 4 of his students. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam says, he says, had it not been for the 4 students of my father, Al-Baqir alayhi salam, the athar, the traditions, athar here, athar is basically hadith, the words of my father and my forefathers would have all been abolished. Everything would have been abolished had it not been for 4 students. So those 4 students learned from Imam Baqir Islam. The Imam had prayed for them. He had placed his hand on one of the students on his chest, and he prayed for him. Abu Basir, Layse Bakhtari, his name is less, but he's more famous by his kunniya, Abu Basir, who lived and saw the time of the 5th and the 6th Imam alayhi salam, and also the 7th Imam. And Abu Basir is a person who memorized thousands and thousands of traditions. The other one is Zurara ibn A'yun. These are students. He learned from Imam Baqir and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam for 35, 40 years. And he had also thousands of hadiths memorized. So most of our hadiths on Hajj and on Namaz, on Tahara are from Zurara. A lot of the hadiths. Muhammad ibn Muslim, in his Musnad, Muhammad ibn Muslim, this is not Musnad Ahmad bin Hanbal, this is Muhammad ibn Muslim, the student of the 5th and the 6th Imam alayhi salam. When he went back, he was from Kufa, from Iraq. When he went back to Kufa, started teaching, the people asked him, how is it that you know a hadith on every topic? On every topic you have a hadith. So people were talking about him. He had memorized 80,000 ahadith from the 5th and the 6th Imam alayhi salam. 80,000 ahadith. And they were all talking about him one day in Masjid Kufa when he was sitting down just before Mimbar. He had a specific time on which he will go to Mimbar. There was no clocks, but the people were sitting down, everyone talking about it. This is the man we were telling you about. He has a hadith on every ayat of the Holy Quran. He has a hadith on tariq, on history, on fiqh, on every topic. He has a hadith memorized. Who is he? Different people were saying different things about him. He's this, he's that. One person said, oh, don't you know? He's a Shia of Ja'far ibn Muhammad. He's a Shia of Ja'far Sadiq. He started crying, Muhammad ibn Muslim. Man walked to him, he said, did I say something wrong? Did I say that you are a Shia? Should I have said you're a student or you're a friend or something better? He said, no. Just the thought that you all think that I'm one of the Shias of Sadiq Aale Muhammad and Muhammad al-Baqir. What if they ask me on the Day of Judgment, were you good enough to be called our Shia? That's what I'm concerned about, and that's why I'm crying. So can you imagine 80,000 hadiths he memorized from the 5th and the 6th Imam. So these students of the Imam alayhi Zurara, Humran ibn Ayyun, these all magnificent students. If the students are such, can you imagine how Baqirul Ulum must be like? So he is extraordinary. Now a lot of the people started questioning him, that why don't you ever mention the chain of narration? Why don't you ever say who you're reporting from? Why don't you say who you took the hadith from? Because we did not see, you did not see the Holy Prophet ﷺ, so you must have taken the hadith from someone. He said, today I will tell you who I have taken my hadith from. And I will only mention it once and never again. I take all of the hadiths that I report from my father, Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. And my father, Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, reports everything from my grandfather, Hussein ibn Ali. And Hussein ibn Ali reports everything from his brother and his father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And Ali ibn Abi Talib reports from the Holy Prophet. This is our chain of narration. وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. And the Holy Prophet does not utter a single word until the wahi comes down onto him. So everything we are saying is from the Prophet, and the Prophet speaks with wahi, and the wahi is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything we say is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's why we call it hadith. So our hadith period is not only just 22 or 23 years, but it is 260 years of the duration of Aimma Ahle Bayt alayhimus salam. So 2.5 centuries we have where the Aimma alayhimus salam legislated and they delivered message. Now the time of 5th Imam alayhi salam, although he saw some of the toughest moments in his life, he saw the incident of Karbala, he was 3.5, so he's one of the witnesses of Karbala. And also, when you see a lot of the people complain that the early life was traumatized and I went through a lot of difficulties. Can you imagine an Imam whose early life was in Karbala and yet he has no single complaint? You see him thanking, oh Allah, I thank you, I cannot thank you enough for you choosing us, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, to deliver your message. You chose us to convey. So the toughest of the times, today you see all of these different problems in Kashmir today, in Nigeria, in so many countries. You see problems and everyone complaining, how can I deliver anything? Even the politicians complain the most. How can I do anything? The treasury has nothing. The country is going through civil war. There are turmoil. Everything is a problem. How can I do anything? And can you imagine an Imam whose early life is Karbala and yet he has no complaints? Allahu Akbar. When I imagine the life of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, that he started off with Karbala, his early part. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says one of the moments in the bazaar of Syria in Damascus, one of the things that made me most cry was that my wife was there was a small cloth, she was trying to cover her head and my son Muhammad al-Baqir at the same time. But whenever she tried to put it on her head, she would not cover herself properly and my son will be in the sun. And whenever she gave the cloth to my son, then she would not be covered properly. He said, I can never forget those moments where my aunts and my wife and my sisters were in the streets of Kufa and Damascus, and Imam Baqir al-Islam is going through all of this. He's seeing the sabr. So he's Imam Baqir al-Islam. The early life is extremely difficult. Second, when he's growing up, 35 years he spends with his father. Again, very difficult time. Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Sajjad al-Islam. You know, the name is Ayyub, Hazrat Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam. If you remember in the Holy Quran, you know the sabr, because the time is short, I cannot give more examples. The sabr, the patience of any prophet, the example is given of Hazrat Ayyub, Nabi Ayyub. When the moment came and the people started talking about his wife was the daughter of Hazrat Yusuf, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. Rahma. Hazrat Yusuf had two daughters. One of them was married to Hazrat Ayyub. The other one was also married to Prophet. Hazrat Ayyub was married, and when the people started talking in the streets about her, that she covers herself and she used to work in the houses and make an earning and bring the medicine and food for Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. Shaitan told the people that she will not show you her face, but tell her to cut her hair and give them to you because she has beautiful hair. Hazrat Ayyub couldn't take that. He was really upset. He started crying. He said, Oh Allah, you tried me in everything. My sons died, I lost my health, I lost my wealth, I lost my house, I'm in the street, on the floor. But now when the trial has come upon my wife, I cannot take this. Hazrat Jibreel came down and said, Ayyub, Allah is asking, who gave you all of these things? He said, Allah. He said, now you're denying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you don't want to be tried? He said, I cannot take it anymore. It is difficult for me. Where the sabr of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam finished, that's where the sabr of Imam Sajjad starts. His beginning of the imamat is in the streets of Karbala, Kufa and Damascus. And who is with him? Imam Baqir al-Islam, only 3.5 years old. The 7 things that Imam Sajjad al-Islam has mentioned about Damascus, one of them is that they placed me and my son where the slaves were sitting to be sold out. And people were saying, how are they to be sold? They were pointing at me and my son. Imam Baqir al-Islam witnesses all of this in early life. When people are pointing their fingers and they are talking about Aale Nabi in such a way. This is the early life of Imam Baqir al-Islam. Now he grows up. During the reign of his father, during the imamat of his father, and then after that, about 19 years, his imamat. During the 19 years of his imamat, the Pope once came to Medina to visit Medina, and the Christians living in and around Medina wanted to welcome him, and they gave him a grand welcome. And Imam Sadiq says that my father said to me that let's go and meet the Pope. So he said, I'll come with you. He said, as soon as we walked towards the Pope, all the Christians started making way for us. And the Pope said, allow them to come in. And then he asked them, are you Christians? Have you come to see me because you're Christians, or are you not Christians? He said, we are from the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad. So the Pope asked him a question. This is Baqirul Ulum we're talking about. Baqirul Ulum. So the Pope said, are you amongst the ulama of the ummah of, he took the name of the Holy Prophet, or are you amongst the Johala? Are you amongst the learned people of that ummah, or are you amongst the ignorant? The Imam al-Islam said, I am not amongst the ignorant. He did not say, I am one of the ulama. He is Baqirul Ulum. Can you see the modesty of the Imam al-Islam? So he says, can I ask you some questions then? Yes, you may ask a question. So he asked 3 questions. He said, which place is it where the sun has only shone once? The sun was shining only, it's only shined there once. The Imam said, very simple. the bottom of the river Nile, when it opened up for Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, the sun was shining, and that was the only time that it was shining, and then the water came back. He said, but aren't you not an alim? He said, no. Did you listen to me carefully? I said, I'm not a jahil. I'm not an ignorant. I did not say I'm an ignorant. He said, I'm going to ask you another question. This is going to be more difficult than the first question. He said, ask me. He said, which two brothers born on the same day, meaning they were twins, and they died on the same day, but one was 100 years older than the other? So two brothers born on the same day, so twins, obviously they were born together, and they died on the same day, but one at the time of death was 100 years older than the other. The Imam said, very simple, Nabi Uzair and Uzaira. Hazrat Uzair and Uzaira, the two brothers. Hazrat Uzair was prophet. The Holy Quran says, when Hazrat Uzair was passing by a valley, when it had gone through a punishment and everyone was dead, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how will you give life to all of these dead again? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't you believe that I will give? He said, yes, I believe, but I want surety. So he said, go to sleep. And Allah, he basically died. And Allah woke him up after 100 years and asked him, Kam labista? Qala labistu yawm wa ba'da yawm. I have slept for a day or a part of the day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Bal labista mi'ata am. You have slept for 100 years. Look at your donkey, look at the food. So he woke up and he went to the house. He was 49 when he went to sleep. He woke up, again 49. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him how he keeps someone alive. He had gone to sleep, not eating, not drinking, not walking. 49. He went to the house. His brother said, you look so much similar to my brother Uzair. He said, I don't look similar to him. I am your brother Uzair. He said, but what happened to you? How come you have remained young? I have become elderly. A year later they both died. He said, this is the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He keeps young whoever he likes. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do this for Hazrat Uzair, then why can he not do it for Imam Mahdi alayhi salam? Allahumma salli ala وعجل فرجهم. So the time has elapsed, so I will not be taking too much, as I wanted to say some masab as well, as it is the night of Shahadat, and I want to say some things in Urdu as well. So inshallah, probably towards the last 5-7 minutes I will transfer to Urdu. So the Imam alayhi salam's, during his time when he was teaching, he wasn't only teaching the Muslims or the Shias. His teaching was not restricted to his followers and believers, but anyone who came to learn from the Imam alayhi salam, Imam allowed him to learn. Even Sunnis came and learned, even non-Muslims came and learned. Even Christians or the Jews, when they wanted to come and learn from the fifth Imam alayhi salam, he allowed. He said, come, you can come. Many of the people who converted, many of his students, Muawiyah ibn Ammar, he was not born a Shia. Most of the students only converted after they became the students of Imam BAQIR alayhi salatu wasalam. So it was a very difficult time. And Banu Umayyah they had been through Karbala, they had been through many events, and yet again they were not settling down. They wanted to completely destroy Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and the fifth Imam alayhi salam is seeing that time. And towards the end of his life, it is the change of the governments. And Abu Abbas Safah was his, the title given to him because he was very barbaric. He had killed so many people from Banu Umayyah and from other people as well. And he dug up the graves of all of the Khulafa of Bani Umayyah except for Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. He left Umar ibn Abdul Aziz's grave, and all the others he dug up, and if he found anything, he burned them. He burned the bones. So he was, his title was Abu Abbas Safah, and he started killing everyone. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz had returned Bagh Fadak to the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. But obviously then came Abu Abbas Safah, he took it back, and there is a whole list of all the people who continuously returned it and took it back. The fifth Imam alayhi salam is going through all of that. He is seeing the changes in Medina, how people are diverting from religion, and how people are, people are nasu ala deen mulukihim. It is the rulers who influence the people. That's how I would translate this hadith. There is a lot of influence by the rulers onto the people. So you have to hold on to your iman, and many times the rulers influence you in a bad way. Because many people become materialistic, many people become in different positions that you take are because of, or the different roles that you take are because of your rulers many times. And many times you keep quiet and you accept and you buy whatever the ruler sells to you. So he says, okay, I have done this, I have killed so many people because of this, and people will accept. So likewise, Bani Umayyah, Bani Abbas, they came into power and they oppressed Ahlul Bayt. The time has ended. یہ بڑا سخت دور تھا پانچویں امام علیہ السلام کا، لیکن ان امام معصوم علیہ السلام نے اس دوران بھی ترویج دین کو بند نہیں کیا، تبلیغ کرتے رہے، ترویج کرتے رہے۔ وہ امام جنہوں نے بچپنے میں اتنے پتھر کھائے ہوں، 3.5 برس کے امام ہیں اور انہیں پتھر لگ رہے ہیں۔ اگر میں آپ میں سے کسی کی طرف اپنا رومال بھی پھینک دوں نا تو آپ کا ہاتھ فوراً چہرے پہ آ جائے گا۔ جانتے ہیں کیوں؟ جانتے ہیں آپ رومال ہے، پھر بھی آپ کا ہاتھ چہرے پہ آ جائے گا، کہیں رومال مجھے لگ نہ جائے، یہ رومال کہیں لگ نہ جائے۔ اور اگر کسی کے ہاتھ پس سے گردن بندھے ہوں اور اس کی طرف پتھر آ رہے ہوں، کتنا مشکل کام ہوگا۔ ایک جملہ کہوں گا، مجھے معاف کر دیجیے گا اگر برداشت نہ کر سکیں۔ روایات میں ہے کہ بیویوں کے ہاتھ پس سے گردن بندھے ہوئے تھے، بیویوں نے بچوں کو نہیں پکڑا ہوا تھا، بچوں نے ماؤں کے گلوں میں باہیں ڈالی تھی۔ جب بچوں کو پتھر لگتے تھے نا تو بچے گر جاتے تھے، اور بعض اوقات جب بچوں کے ہاتھ تھک جاتے تھے تو بچے پشت ناقہ سے گرتے تھے، اونٹنی کی کیمل کی پشت سے گرتے تھے۔ جب بچہ گرتا تھا ماں تڑپتی تھی میرا بچہ گر گیا۔ کتنے بچے اس راستے میں شہید ہوئے ہیں۔ اب سوچئے امام باقر علیہ السلام نے کتنا سخت دور دیکھا ہے، اور پھر جب وہ سارا دور گزرتا گیا، بچپنے میں پتھر کھائے۔ امام باقر سے 2 روایات میں پیش کرنا چاہتا ہوں، ذرا میرے ساتھ کچھ دیر کے لیے کربلا چلیے گا۔ کسی نے پوچھا، اے محمد باقر علیہ السلام مولا، ہمیں لوگوں نے بتایا ہے، کربلا میں جو آنے والے آپ کے دادا حسین کے دشمن تھے انہوں نے بتایا ہے کہ جب آپ کے دادا حسین زلجنا کی پشت سے زمین پہ گر گئے تو زلجنا ان کا طواف کر رہا تھا۔ مولا جب وہ طواف کر رہا تھا تو لوگ کہتے ہیں وہ آوازیں بلند کر رہا تھا، He was making noise۔ مولا وہ کچھ کہہ رہا تھا؟ امام باقر رونے لگے، کہا ہاں وہ زلجنا کچھ کہہ رہا تھا۔ کہا مولا آپ بتا سکتے ہیں وہ کیا کہہ رہا تھا؟ کہا وہ بار بار کہتا تھا الظلیمۃ الظلیمہ، وائے ہو اس امت پہ، انہوں نے اپنے ہی نبی کے نواسے کو مار دیا، انہوں نے اپنے نبی کے نواسے کو مار دیا۔ امام اور روئے، کہا کہ مولا اور کیا کہہ رہا تھا؟ تو ایک مرتبہ امام نے رو کے کہا، ان کی سواری وہ گھوڑا بار بار میرے دادا حسین سے کہتا تھا، اے حسین بس ایک مرتبہ ہمت کر کے میری پشت پہ واپس آ جائیں، میں آپ کو اتنی دور لے جاؤں گا پھر کوئی تیر نہیں لگے گا، میں آپ کو بہت دور لے جاؤں گا پھر کوئی تیر نہیں لگے گا۔ کہا مولا آپ کے دادا حسین نے پھر اسے کیا کہا؟ تو ایک مرتبہ امام باقر نے رو کے کہا، میرے دادا حسین نے کہا زلجنا خیموں میں واپس چلا جا، میری بہنوں کو بتا دے میری شہادت ہو گئی ہے، میری بہنوں کو بتا دے۔ ایک مرتبہ زلجنا واپس آیا، جب خیموں کے باہر آتا تھا نا تو زلجنا کی آواز سے بیویاں پہچانتی تھی، ہاں ہمارے مولا، ہمارے بھائی حسین آ گئے، ہمارے بابا حسین آ گئے۔ ساری بیویاں خیمے سے باہر آئیں، جب باہر آئیں نا تو دیکھا زلجنا اس کی پشت خالی ہے، کوئی سوار نہیں ہے۔ تو اب ایک مرتبہ ساری بیبیاں، امام زمانہ کہتے ہیں میرا سلام ہو میری پھپھیوں پہ جو اپنے چہروں پہ لاتمات الخدود، چہروں پہ ماتم کرتی جاتی تھیں، سینوں پہ ماتم کرتی تھی، روتی جاتی تھی امام حسین کو۔ اس وقت ایک چھوٹی سی بچی نے زلجنا کی کٹی باغوں میں ہاتھ ڈالا اور رو کے کہا، یا جواد حل سوقیا ابھی ام قتل ادشانا، اے زلجنا جب میرے بابا خیمے سے گئے تھے بہت بہت پیاسے تھے، بس اتنا بتا دے کیا میرے بابا کو پیاسا ذبح کر دیا ہے یا میرے بابا کو تو نے پانی پلا دیا تھا؟ امام باقر فرماتے ایک مرتبہ زلجنا کی آنکھوں سے آنسو جاری ہوئے تو چھوٹی سی بی بی نے ایک مرتبہ رو کے کہا، جناب سکینہ نے، پانچویں امام فرماتے میری پھپھی نے کہا، زلجنا تیری آنکھوں سے بہتے آنسو بتا رہے ہیں، تیرے پشت پہ جو زین لٹکی ہوئی ہے بتا رہی ہے، میرے بابا اترے نہیں ہیں، گرے ہیں، میرے بابا گرے ہیں تیری پشت سے۔ یہ امام باقر کی ابتدا تھی، میں بڑا تفصیل سے پڑھنا چاہتا تھا لیکن وقت نہیں ہے۔ ارے یہ امام باقر آنکھوں سے دیکھ رہے ہیں، 11 محرم کا دن نکلا، جب سب کو باندھ کے لے جانے لگے تو ایک بچے نے دیکھا میرے دادا کے لاشے پہ گھوڑے دوڑائے گئے ہیں۔ کوئی پوتا ایسا برداشت نہیں کر سکتا۔ اجرکم اللہ۔ بس بھئی امام باقر علیہ السلام یہ سب دیکھ رہے ہیں، جب کوفہ گئے، شام گئے، دیکھا میری پھپھیوں کو پتھر مارے جا رہے ہیں، رہائی مل گئی۔ آپ کو میں ایک سوال کروں آپ سے، جب رہائی ملتی ہے نا کسی کو زندان سے، کوئی پرزنر آزاد ہو جائے وہ خوش ہوتا ہے، لیکن جب بیویوں کو آزادی ملی، بچوں کو آزادی ملی تو سب رونے لگے ہیں، سب رو رہے تھے، ارے آزادی مل گئی۔ مجھے نہیں معلوم کیوں رو رہے ہیں، شاید کسی کو کوئی بی بی یاد آ رہی ہو، چھوٹی سی بچی کی قبر زندان میں بنا دی گئی، اب سب رو رہے ہیں۔ ایک مرتبہ آزادی ملی اور سب کے سب واپس آنے لگے۔ اب میں آخری 2-4 جملے پیش کروں گا۔ بس ایک مرتبہ جب واپس آنے لگے نا تو ایک مرتبہ کچھ دیر کے لیے امام سجاد نے کہا کہ جو ہمیں راستے میں لے جا رہا تھا، کہا اس سے ایک مرتبہ میرے بابا نے کہا ذرا کچھ دیر کے لیے ہمیں کربلا لے چل، کیونکہ ہم لاشیں میدان ہم لاشیں چھوڑ کے آئے تھے، ہم نے قبریں نہیں دیکھی۔ بس بھئی آخری جملہ سن لیجئے، امام باقر علیہ السلام جب اپنی پھپھیوں کے ساتھ، اپنے بابا کے ساتھ واپس میدان کربلا میں آئے تو جناب زینب کبریٰ نے بس ایک سوال کیا ہے، سید سجاد مجھے میرے بھائی حسین کی قبر کا نشان بتا دو۔ جناب سید سجاد نے اشارہ کیا کہ پھپھی اماں یہاں میرے بابا کی قبر ہے۔ ساری بیبیاں رونے لگی، قبر پہ گر گئیں۔ جب بہت زیادہ رونے لگی تو امام سجاد نے کہا پھپھی اماں بس کیجئے، پھپھی کا بازو پکڑا، کہا پھپھی اماں بس کیجئے۔ بس ایک سوال کیا جناب زینب نے، سجاد یہ میرے بھائی کے ساتھ والی قبر کس کی ہے؟ کہا پھپھی اماں یہ میرے بھائی علی اکبر کی قبر ہے۔ پانچویں امام فرماتے ہیں ساری بیبیاں دوبارہ قبر پہ گر کے رونے لگیں، ایک ایک قبر پہ جا رہی ہیں۔ میں نے اسی پہ تمام کرنا چاہتا تھا لیکن ایک جملہ سن لیجئے گا۔ جناب زینب نے سوال کیا بیٹا سجاد آپ نے ساری قبریں بتا دیں لیکن میرے بھیا عباس کی قبر کا نشان نہیں بتایا۔ امام سجاد نے کہا پھپھی اماں میرے ساتھ چلیے، میرے چچا کی قبر فرات کے کنارے ہے۔ جب بیبیاں جانے لگی نا تو ایک مرتبہ جناب زینب نے بیبیوں کا راستہ روکا، کہا بیبیوں میرے بھیا عباس کو سب کچھ بتا دینا، بتا دینا ہمیں شرابی کے دربار میں لے گئے تھے، بتا دینا ہمیں تازیانے مارے گئے تھے، لیکن مت بتانا عباس کو، مت بتانا سکینہ شام میں رہ گئی۔ اجرکم اللہ۔ میں نے اسی پہ تمام کر دیا۔ 2 جملے سن لیجئے۔ جب ہشام ابن عبد الملک ملعون نے امام باقر علیہ السلام کو زہر دلوا دیا، ہر باپ کی حسرت ہوتی ہے جب میرا دم نکلے میرا بیٹا میرے پاس ہو۔ امام باقر علیہ السلام کا سر امام صادق کے زانوں پہ رکھا تھا، ایک مرتبہ وصیت کی کہ بیٹا میری مجلس کراتے رہنا، میری مجلس کراتے رہنا۔ بابا اور کوئی وصیت؟ ہاں مجھے میرے بابا کے پہلو میں جنت البقیع میں دفنانا، پہلو میں دفنانا، مجھے میرے بابا کے ساتھ دفنانا۔ بابا اور کوئی وصیت؟ ہاں امام علیہ السلام نے وصیت کی، کہا ہاں کبھی بھی کوئی حاجی آئے تو اسے پانی ضرور پلانا، کسی کو پیاسا نہ جانے دینا۔ میں کہوں گا شاید امام باقر کو بچپنا یاد آ گیا ہو، ہم بھی کسی کے مہمان تھے، ہمیں کسی نے پانی نہیں پلایا۔ اجرکم اللہ۔ بس ایک مرتبہ امام کو زہر دے دیا گیا، چھٹے امام علیہ السلام نے بڑی عظمت کے ساتھ اپنے بابا کا جنازہ پڑھایا، شان و شوکت کے ساتھ اپنے بابا کو اپنے دادا کے ساتھ دفنایا۔ لیکن میں کہوں گا اے امام باقر آپ کو آپ کے بیٹے نے بڑی تعظیم سے غسل و کفن دیا، ذرا ایک مرتبہ 11 محرم عاشورے کے بعد ذرا کربلا کے میدان میں آ کے دیکھیں، ایک بیٹا باپ کے لاشے کے کنارے کھڑا ہے اور رو رو کے کہتا پروردگارا مجھ میں طاقت ہے لیکن یہ اجازت نہیں دیتے. الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. پروردگارا آج کی رات کے صدقے میں، شب جمعہ کے صدقے میں ہمیں جنت البقیع دوبارہ تعمیر ہوتا دیکھنا نصیب فرما. پروردگارا تابوت برآمد ہونے والا، صرف 2 جملے کہوں گا. ابھی تابوت برآمد ہوگا جب زیارت کیجئے گا تو 12ویں امام کو پرسہ دے کے کہیے گا مولا آپ کو پرسہ دیتے ہیں، اگر کسی بیٹے کے سامنے، پوتے کے سامنے دادا کی قبر کو توڑ دیا جائے تو بڑا صدمہ ہوتا ہے. جنت البقیع کی ٹوٹی ہوئی قبروں پہ آج آپ جب پرسہ لینے جائیں گے مولا ہمارا بھی سلام پہنچا دیجئے گا. ایک نظر کرم کیجئے گا مولا لوگ کتنے کتنی دور سے آئے ہیں، سب ایک ہی نیت سے آئے ہیں. ارے ہم 5ویں امام کا پرسہ دینے جا رہے ہیں جناب سیدہ کو، امام زمانہ کو. لیکن اے جناب سیدہ بس اتنا ہی کہیں گے، آپ کی اور آپ کے سب بیٹوں کی قبریں ٹوٹی ہوئی ہیں جنت البقیع میں 4 اماموں کی. پروردگارہ ہمیں جنت البقیع کی ٹوٹی قبریں تعمیر ہوتا دیکھنا نصیب فرما. 12ویں امام کا ظہور دیکھنا نصیب فرما. دشمنان اہل بیت کو نیست و نابود فرما. داعش و طالبان کو غارت فرما. مؤمنین کی حفاظت فرما. ماتم حسین یا حسین.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.